The 50th year anniversary wasn't just hype, it was something I honestly can't really describe with words. And if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yo! Dude! Hang on, did you see? Is this Dokkan battle? I'm sorry, what?
Do I need to say more? Do I need to say anything else?
There's a reason why the Blue Fusion's banners are still to this day the highest grossing banners in Dokkan battle history. So whether you were there and just want to relieve a bit of nostalgia, or you weren't there and just want to understand why the celebration was so special, you'll get everything you need in today's Dokkan History episode. A series where I cover the entire history of Dokkan month by month. And if you only want to jump straight into the anniversary and don't really care about what happened beforehand, the timestamps are in the description. But enough yapping, let's get right into it. Before the beginning of the anniversary, we had a bunch of EZAs, and the first one was for Merge Zamasu at the beginning of January. He now had a very solid leader skill, like 3 key and 100% HP attack and defense, so extreme class type units was something that could be pretty useful in Dokkan Battlefield. Then he raised extreme class allies attack by 30% for 1 turn on super, had 140% attack at the start of turn, reduced the attack and defense of super class enemies by 20%, while raising the defense of Realm of Gods extreme class allies by 50%, so just with that, he was already looking pretty decent for SBR. But they kept his 10% attack debuff to superclass allies, which kind of held him back on superclass teams. This guy was clearly meant to be ran on Agel Zamasu's team, and paired with him perfectly, as Agel Zamasu really liked defensive support type buffs. So next to this guy, he was an absolute wall defensively, but at the same time, Tech Merge Zamasu was kind of a glass cannon, so it kind of nullified any type of defensive capabilities he gave to his allies. Still a very solid and fun EZA though. As for his EZA event, he was weak to units from the Worthy Rivals category, which honestly didn't make much sense and just made his EZA harder than it was supposed to be. Most people didn't have transfer in Piccolo, but from what I remember, you could still get by using Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's team, or even with just a mono in team. So it wasn't the worst thing either, but for sure pretty hard if you didn't have the right units, just like every other EZA. Then we also had the EZA of Tech Super Saiyan to Goku from the Hero Extermination Plan event that same day. He raised his attack and defense by 30% for 1 turn on super, gave all allies 3 key at the start of turn, had 30% attack and defense per Super Saiyan 2 category ally attacking in the same turn, excluding himself, and 77% attack and defense on super. A buff that was calculated separately for a total boost of 183% attack and defense with 2 Super Saiyan 2 category allies on rotation. So yeah, he was very solid, and actually had a different name than the new Dokkan Fest Super Saiyan 2 Goku who released the month prior, so you could run them both on the same team, which was definitely very good. A week later, to celebrate the release of some new Dokkan Battle collab figurines, they give EZAs to the anniversary banner units Goku and Vegeta, which was pretty surprising, as those guys literally just Dokkan Awakened exactly a year ago during the 4th year anniversary. So for them to EZA literally just 1 year later is pretty crazy. But yeah, Agel's percent to Goku was pretty good. He was a sub leader for Goku's family and the Agel type, a very good leader skill for Dokkan Battlefield. Then he greatly raised his attack and defense for 1 turn on super, changed strength type orbs to AGL, recovered 10,000 HP and gained 20% attack and 10% defense per key spheres obtained, and had an additional 5% attack and defense per key spheres obtained when facing a Vegeta's family category enemy. So yeah, the guy was good. That healing per key spheres obtained ability came in clutch more times than I can count. Strength percent to Vegeta was also decent. He was the sub leader for Vegeta's family and the strength type, so also a decent leader skill for Battlefield. Then he greatly raised his attack and defense for 1 turn on super, changed AGL type orbs to strength, gained 20% attack and defense per key spheres obtained, and had an additional 5% attack and defense per key spheres obtained when facing a Goku's family category enemy. Something that you could see more often than Goku's Vegeta family condition, as Goku's family category was just simply bigger. And since this guy's post EZA based attack stat was pretty high, like 18k for a regular banner unit was pretty crazy, he could dish out some pretty impressive numbers with just a couple key spheres from what I remember, while also not looking bad defensively. He was definitely usable in the Legendary Goku event and could definitely cook there. And since he also shared a different name than his Dokkan Fest counterpart that released a month prior, he could be run on his team, and they shared 5 links together in base and 6 transformed. So yeah, the guy was good. All around, those two guys' buffs were not major on paper, but in game, with their easiest stat buffs, they looked much much better. As for their EZA event, it was one of those EZAs where you had to face 2 enemies at the same time, and were weak to units from the Super Sensu category. Honestly, as long as you had Transforming Goku, Vegeta, the new Vegeta, or even LRHL Gohan, you could put together a decent team for his EZA. Those 2 were also featured on a banner where you only had them as featured units, and you were guaranteed 1 copy every multi, with 3 30 stones discounted multis, and I'm pretty sure my dumbass summoned on that banner, which in hindsight was just so dumb, but I didn't know any better at the time. Like, this was an easy skip. Even though they were very good, the anniversary was right around the corner, and they were just regular SSRs you could pull on any banner. We then had that same day the Dokkan Awakening of the Strength Monotype leaders, who are now both phenomenal for long events. Kaba raised his attack and defense by 30% for 9 turns on Super, and Hit now stacked defense on Super with a 30% chance of stunning the attacked enemy. Those 2 are probably the best Monotype supports to date. Those super attack effects just made them so valuable for the Legendary Goku event. Strength Hit was straight up better everywhere outside of SBR than his Dokkan Fest counterpart. There was also another Exclamation Plan event EZA, this time for the AGL's percent to Goku. He now raised his attack by 50% on Super for 6 turns, had 70% attack and defense at the start of turn, gave 3 key and 30% attack to all allies, with an additional 30% defense to Super Sensu category allies. So he was like a more support oriented version of Text percent to Goku, but honestly the fact that he not only had 6 links and a 130% 12 key multiplier didn't really help. He was probably the worst out of the 3. The Physicals percent to Goku, who EZA'd a week later, was way better in my opinion. He had basically the same kit, but instead of raising his attack for 6 turns, he raised his defense by 30% for 6 turns, which was already way more useful in the Legendary Goku event, for example. And instead of giving allies attack, he gave allies defense and Super Sensu category allies attack, which honestly was also better. Defense was starting to be a lot more valuable than offense, especially in the long events of the time. Another thing that I really liked about this guy was the fact that he was a physical Majin Buu Saga unit, meaning he could help you against Int Ultimate Gohan's EZA. Without him, I would have never been able to be that guy's EZA, especially since I was missing physicals for Vegito. We also had that same day the update 4.8.1, the update that added the skill orbs and sticker features into the game. Those were features that we honestly had pretty high hopes for, well, more so the skill orbs. We expected them to introduce crazy skill orbs for old characters as a way to make them relevant again. Like, not just stats, but actual new passives. For example, a lot of players hoped for a skill orb that would change LRHL Gohan's active skill condition, which in hindsight was just pure delusion and copium. Like, there was just like zero universe where they were going to do something like that. And as for the sticker feature, is anybody even using those? Personally, I only put stickers on characters I fully link level 10 just to better see which units in my box are fully maxed out and whatnot. But before I had that idea, I don't think I've ever put a sticker on a character, to be honest. It was still cool though. I remember being pretty mind blown by the sticker effect of like Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, for example. Like, that sticker aura just looked so good. The next day and the 5th year anniversary countdown celebration was out, given free tickets and stones every day. All Dokkan events and SVR stages were open, stamina recovery time was reduced, we had discounted Baba Shop items, and EXP from the story mode was multiplied by 4. Like all of your typical anniversary campaign stuff. But they also held a comeback campaign, like every major celebration, where players would be given various rewards depending on the amount of return players for that upcoming anniversary, for a total of 20 stones. So essentially some free stones, since only 100,000 players had to come back into the game, which was very easy, especially for an anniversary as hype as this one. A week later, and the 5th year anniversary had officially started. I remember everyone going crazy from the promo movie alone, as we saw new transforming animations for Gogeta and Vegito Blue, meaning they were going to be this year's headliners, which was just so hype. Then we had a new story event with a new farmable Zamasu, who I'm pretty sure was already confirmed to get an LR Awakening that anniversary, or at the very least it was highly speculated. He had a rank A potential system and a 38 cost, something only the TUR of a free play LR could have. But I do agree that his kit didn't look that great as a TUR, like 40% attacking defense at the start of turn, stacking ki per attack received, and launching an additional attack that could become a super attack when facing multiple enemies. Like, it was really hard to tell how good he could become, but if he was was going to awaken into an LR, he definitely had the potential to at least be on the same level as the previous anniversary LR. Or so we thought. Honestly, the best thing about that guy was that Zamasu units were now farmable. This was just amazing, especially considering how many Zamasus the game had at the time. We then had another story event with 2 new free-to-play units from the Broly movie, Kid Vegeta and Kid Broly. Those were probably the most hyped free-to-play units we ever got for an anniversary, at least in my opinion. Zamasu and 2 Saiyans from the brand new movie, like, bro, this was just absolute cinema. But yeah, it was hard to tell how good those two would be. They were both fully farmable with very bare bone kits, as they were obviously just SSRs at the time. Kid Vegeta had 50% attack and defense on the start of turn and was an extreme class leader, and since he wasn't in the Vegeta's family category, it was safe to assume that his T-War was going to include either Raditz or Nappa, or even both, so this was hype. Then Broly had 40% attack and defense at the start of turn, a 50% dodge chance, and was a sub-leader for the pure Sins category. Some people hoped he would awaken into an adult Broly, but since he was on the youth category, it was pretty much already confirmed that he was going to awaken into a kid Broly, which honestly was fine. As for the Logan bonus reward card, it was a new Super Saiyan Blue Goku, who honestly wasn't even bad for a reward card. He led the Realm of Gods category for 5 key and 55% HP attack and defense, when the team included all 5 superclass types. And I'm pretty sure this is still, to this day, the unit that gives the most key in his leader skill. Then he raised his defense by 50% for 5 turns on Super, had 55% attack and defense at the start of turn, an additional 55% attack with 5 or more key spheres obtained, and another 55% attack when attacking with 12 key or more. All of those buffs were calculated separately, so he could get up to 225% attack when attacking with 5 or more key spheres obtained, and at 12 key or more. Obviously his stats were very low, so the guy wasn't really usable, but he was still a cool card. I just don't know why they skipped the God transformation. We all expected them to go with Super Saiyan God Goku and then Super Saiyan Blue during the 6th year anniversary, but I guess they just thought the Blue transformation was more fitting to the theme of the anniversary, which is fair. They then brought back the previous Worldwide celebration VS reward cards into the coin shop, so GV players finally had access to Yamcha, Super Saiyan Goku, and Hercule. The other trophy cards, they didn't win or lose from the previous VS campaigns against Global. We also had a new 55 summon banner, 2 versions, a free ticket version and a 200 stone version. Both gave the same thing, 55 units with a guaranteed LR at the end. The free tickets were given out throughout the duration of the anniversary. I'll never forget all of the posts on the Dokkan subreddits asking about the last ticket. Like, bro, Dragon Ball fans really cannot read. Like, it's crazy, bro. But the banner itself was pretty crazy. It had every yellow coin LR up to In God Goku unfeatured on it, so LR Tech Broly, the androids, LR Kel and Caulifla, who were in my opinion still the best unit in the game, and the featured units were not bad either. You had the most recent banner units and all of the hero extermination plan EZAs. The banner had some pretty decent value. I know I summoned and got something pretty decent from what I remember. As for the anniversary ticket banner, it was also not bad, as it had every LR up to the androids unfeatured on it, and I'm pretty sure on Global, it even had In God Goku, who, if I remember correctly, I actually pulled from those tickets. So yeah, this was cool. And it's not even over. We also had the first version of the Whis event, which you could play every day, and it gave various skill orbs. The drop rates, from what I remember, were pretty bad. Getting a max level skill orb was pretty rare, but honestly even a level 3 silver additional could make a huge difference on a 55% unit. And those bronze stat orbs went a long way on units who stacked on Super. The only scary thing at the time was that sure, the event was fine as a daily event, but it was mentioned somewhere that this was something special for the anniversary, and that once the anniversary ended, the event would only be available once a week, which was horrible, based on the amount and level of skill orbs you got most of the time from it. We also had another new event that same day, a Nukin event very similar to the Nukin Tile event we got during the 300 million download celebration, where we had to nuke Frieza's henchman, and each stage required you to use a different category. Honestly, I don't really remember that event being especially hard. The 5 categories were much stronger than whatever they gave us during the 300 million download celebration. Movie heroes, movie bosses, time travelers, Potara and Fusion, like the 50th anniversary banners had literally everything you needed to beat those missions. Then we had the teasers for the blue fusions, and everyone at the time thought we would see their full kits during the live stream the next day, but they just dropped a data download the day before the live stream. I still remember everyone going crazy on social media. I haven't haven't seen something like that in a long time, bro. It was just something else. Everyone was so hype. You just had to be there.
Yo, there are so many different things going on in my head right now. So many different things I want to talk to you guys about. So many different things I need to address.
And it is freaking time. They did a data download on the JP side of the game for some reason before the live stream, and we have Gogeta Blue and Vegito Blue super attacks to watch.
This is crazy.
Yo, hold up. Yo! Dude, this looks so good. What? Bro? What? I'm sorry if I'm breaking the mic, but what? That's dope. Oh! 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 Dokkan, you're making me nut, bro. Holy crap. Oh my god, that art!
Oh my god, it's just... Is this Dokkan battle? I'm sorry, what? Dude! Hang on, did you see...
These animations are some of the most beautiful things I have ever witnessed in my life. All right, in my 24, almost 25 years of living,
That's the best looking thing in Dokkan.
I have seen very few things more beautiful than these animations.
That end screen's incredible, dude. Are you that KO screen is everything right now.
Good job to Bandai. You guys did it. You got me. You got all my money,
Dokkan, here.
all my stones,
Just take it. You know why. Just take it.
my car, my house, my clothes, whatever you want. All right, just take them. Just give me these LRs because I need them in my life. Okay, so
Take my wallet.
This is the best anniversary.
And those two guys dropped the next day, right after a live stream, as expected. And I have to say it again, the hype for these boys was just on another level. It was just insane. I think closest thing we had to this level of hype in like the past 5 years was probably the release of Business Gohan and Orange Piccolo. But even then, the community didn't feel as alive and hype as when those two guys dropped. The Blue Fusions had the exact same kits and base. They both led the final trump card category, which was exactly what we wanted the fusion category to be like on release, a category that had every Gogeta and Vegito in the game and even more, as it featured all of the Gotenks, Kaioken Gokus, Keflas, non-Angel Super Sentry Gokus, like the category was just stacked. On top of that, Vegito led the Potara category, which was also pretty cracked, with all of the Zamasus, and Gogeta led the fusion category, which added the Heroes Fusions units. Not as good of an addition as Vegito's Potara leader skill, but still pretty decent. The final trump card category alone was more than enough for both of them. They then both stacked attack on both of their super attacks, had 70% attack and defense on the start of turn, 3 key, and launched an additional attack that had a 30% chance of becoming a super attack when attacking. Like, this was just all very good, since those two could struggle for key and base, especially Vegito, as he had Brainiacs and instead of prepared for battle. They also both had a 50% dodge chance as their third attacker in the turn, so they were meant to work as floaters in base, and then on their next appearance, transform into absolute monsters. Because yes, these guys transformed on turn 4 no matter what. Like, this was just so good, especially after the garbage transforming conditions we got the year before. Once transformed, they both raised their attack and defense by 30% for 1 turn on their 12 key super attacks and 30% defense for 1 turn on their 18 key super attacks. They both had 77% attack and defense at the start of turn, and that's when their kits started to differ. Vegito Blue had 2 key at the start of turn, launched an additional super attack, and gained 1 key up to 5, and 70% attack and defense up to 77% per attack performed. Those buffs were calculated separately, so fully built up. Him and Gogeta had 220% attack and defense at the start of turn, which was just massive, combined with their LR stats. Fully built up, those guys were absolute beasts, but it took forever to get there. Gogeta also built up the same stats per attack performed as Vegito, but had 5 key at the start of turn, launched a normal additional attack, and was effective against all types. So technically, Gogeta's APT was higher on average because of the type effectiveness, but if Vegito crit, he not only blew Gogeta's APT out of the water, but was also much better defensively, thanks to the additional super attack and defensive buffs he got from his 12 key super attack effect. They both launched an additional super attack and had a 50% dodge chance as the third attacker in the turn, but didn't build up their passive in that slot. So most of the time, you were better off keeping them in slot 1 or 2. The only time you put them in slot 3 was either in SBR, since these guys couldn't take a hit there, or on their active skill turns. Because yes, they both had active skills that you could proc starting from their next appearance, when facing only one enemy whose HP was below 50%. So you almost never saw those outside of the Legendary Goku event. But when you did, the battle was pretty much over. Like, their active skill turns are easily like in the top 5 of the strongest turns in Dokkan history. It was just ridiculous and completely overkill. Like, literally this was just overkill. And the reason why is that people quickly figured out that if you proc their active skills in slot 3, then move them to slot 1 or 2, you would trigger every single line of their passive. Vegito would launch 2 guaranteed super attacks while also having a 50% dodge chance, and Gogeta would launch a normal and 1 additional super attack, while being super effective against all types, and also having a 50% dodge chance. Like, those turns were just completely insane, just absolute craziness. Overall, the hype was completely justified. Not only were these guys very strong, like easily top 5, whether they were top 3 or not was like debatable. Kill and Cauliflower were in my opinion still better than them, and you could argue that even the LR Bros were better than them, since those two could start building up turn 1, while the Blue Fusions had like a 4th turn delay. But it's not like it mattered, because the Blue Fusions were without a doubt the most fun units in the game. This was probably the most fun I've ever had playing Dokkan, outside of like maybe the Airplane Bug Saga. Like, seeing them get stronger every turn, then pop in their active skills on the last phase of the Legendary Goku event, while also seeing the 3rd year anniversary LRs transform on their same team. Like, bro, it was just absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. Their animations are also so peak. Their active skills are still some of the best looking animations in the game. Gogeta Blue's 12 key super attack might honestly still be my favorite 12 key super attack in this game to this day. It's just so clean and like so fast at the same time. They just absolutely nailed those cards, aesthetically speaking. Also, their super attacks were farmable since they both started in base, which was huge for free-to-play players. Kais were still pretty scarce back then, so this mattered more than it does today. And their banner units were also pretty cracked. Future Trunks and Mai were sub-leaders for the Joint Forces category and the AGL type, so not bad for Battlefield. Then they greatly raised their attack and defense for 1 turn on Super, had 100% attack and defense at the start of turn, an additional 3 key and 100% attack and defense with a Super Saiyan Blue ally on the team, another 100% attack when facing a Future Saga enemy, and another 3 key and 100% attack with guaranteed crits when facing a Goku Black or Zamasu enemy. When all of their buffs were active, they were just cracked. But even with only the first 2 lines of their passives, they were more than decent. Like, what made them ridiculous was their active skill. It could be activated starting from the 3rd turn from the start of battle with a Future Trunks or Mai on rotation. It did ridiculous damage, gave guaranteed crits for the rest of the turn, stunned the attacked enemy, and cut their defense in half. Like, bro, this was just so cracked in SVR. So cracked, it was insane. Literally one of the best banner units in Dokkan history. Like, the rotation of them and their LR counterpart was just so fun. I'm just so glad they had different names. Bardock and Guinea, even though not as good, were still decent. They were sub-leaders for the Movie Heroes category and the Strength type, so not bad. They also greatly raised their attack and defense for 1 turn on Super, had 120% attack and defense at the start of turn, 3 key and an additional 100% attack and defense with a Goku on the team, another 100% attack when facing a movie boss's enemy, and 3 key, 100% attack, and guaranteed crits when facing an enemy whose name included Frieza. Just like Trunks and Mai, they could look pretty impressive when all of their conditions were met, but you rarely saw that. Their active skill was unfortunately more niche. Like, it was broken for sure. It cleansed all allies debuffs and gave them a 22% attack and defensive support type buff for 2 turns with a respectable condition, turn 4 and below 80% HP. The problem was that there weren't many big bosses at the time with massive debuffs, if any at all, so this was useless most of the time. And sure, the support was decent, but you couldn't run them on the new Blue Fusion's teams, so what was the point? Honestly, when I first read their kit, I genuinely thought they were going to release a legendary Frieza event that year, or something like that. Like, no idea why it took them so long to release that event, but if they had just released it that year, these guys would have been definitely much better, especially AGL transferring Bardock, who released not even 2 months later. As for the new banners, Vegito Blue's banner was phenomenal. It featured the 2 new units, who were obviously very good. LR AGL Gohan was still a top 10 unit in the game, transforming Zamasu and Trunks, who were both amazing amazing in their own ways, and definitely still like top 10 T-Wars, and LRs for Vegito, who was now better than ever. On Vegito's team, Tech merged Zamasu, who had just received a pretty decent EZA earlier that month, Physical Super Vegito, who wasn't all that anymore, but was still the only proper Majin Buu Saga leader, so that could help. Physical Vegito Blue, who also wasn't all that, but it was announced on Global that this guy would get his EZA this year. And Strength Transforming Buu, who honestly just sucked. Like, there's just no other way to say it. So this was literally one of the best banners in Dokkan history. The value from this anniversary banner was just insane. You literally couldn't leave this banner with something useless. Almost everything you pulled was going to at the very least be useful, either now or in the future. Gogeta's banner was also pretty damn good. It featured the two new units, who were obviously also very good. And LR Cell, who even though was probably the worst Dokkan Fest LR, was still very strong, especially in SBR. Physical Transferring Broly, who honestly wasn't all that anymore, but was still very useful just for his leader skill. And the guy just had so many categories. It's like there was just so many EZAs this guy could help you with. All of the Gogetas, who were literally all better than ever. On Gogeta's team, Strength Omega Shenron, who had recently just gotten an EZA and was obviously very decent, and Injanemba, who I think was still the best EZA you were in the game. Literally All Might, like the guy was literally just All Might, like an absolute monster. All around, I felt like Gogeta's banner was weaker than Vegito's, but not by much. Like both banners were just phenomenal for the time. Definitely some of the best banners we had seen to date. Like the banners were so good and the units so hype that those banners are still the highest grossing banners in this game's history. To this day, those are the banners that printed the most amount of money. No idea why it took them so long to release more standalone fusions after them, like considering all of that, but yeah, like the 50th anniversary is still to this day the celebration where I've spent the most in this game. I dropped like 200 bucks on their banners, mostly buying the ticket packs, so it definitely wasn't like the worst deal ever. Like I walked out with 3 copies of Blue Vegito and like 1 or 2 copies of Blue Gogeta. At the time it was worth it in my mind, but looking back, like yeah, 200 bucks was just crazy. Like no idea what I was even thinking back then. I guess I just had gotten my first job and clearly didn't understand the value of money. Like I would just slap my old self if I could go back in time. Like do you know the things you can actually buy with 200 bucks? Like that's almost 3 AAA games, even more if you buy them on sale. Like it's literally the price of like a Nintendo Switch Lite. A whole console, bro, like a whole console. Dropping that on some PNGs is just, bro, it's just insane. They also gave everyone a new wallpaper that same day. The most voted wallpaper, a Super Saiyan for Goku and Super Saiyan for Vegeta wallpaper, which I'm pretty sure was just one of the title screens during the 40th anniversary. They then held another special media campaign on Twitter to commemorate the 50th anniversary. Players just had to choose the correct answers for some pretty decent rewards. The game also hit top grossing that very same day, so the surprise of literally no one. The hype was just something else for these guys. They gave everyone 30 stones and 2500 strength and tech type potential orbs. So very good. The month of February then began with another campaign where players had to fill up the time machine by essentially just playing the game and using stamina. Once the time machine was filled with electric liquid, players got some pretty decent rewards like 50th anniversary coins, potential orbs and Kais. The game also reached top grossing again. The banners were just that hype. So they gave everyone 100 Dragon Stones and 3000 potential orbs of each type. Some insane rewards obviously. Dokkan also released a new unique 50th anniversary Dokkan Battlefield with new bosses, like every special battlefield. And like every special battlefield, this one was on the easier side. Broly was much easier to beat than Kid Buu or Jiren, but I still remember the Zamasu fight being pretty annoying. You either had to have like a very strong team or units that could stun, or else that fight was almost impossible to beat. Like Zamasu was pretty tanky and healed every turn, like it was pretty crazy. And clearing all of those battlefield stages also rewarded you with one of the new special stickers. To this day, this is still the main way to get stickers. I wish we could get like more of those. I have more level 10 units in need of stickers than stickers, like make it make sense. A week later, it was officially time for part 2 of the 5th year anniversary, which came with a lot less than the second part of the 4th year anniversary. All we got were the awakenings of the new free-to-play units, Kid Vegeta awakened into a Kid Vegeta and Raditz combo card, and the EZA that same day. Post EZA, they were honestly not bad, like they were sub-leaders for the Joint Forces category and Extreme Class type, which was a pretty decent sub-leader skill for a free-to-play unit. They then stacked attack on Super while lowering the enemy's attack, which were not bad super attack effects. They had 70% attacking defense at the start of turn, 1 key 10% crit chance, and 20% attacking defense per person category ally attacking in the same turn, excluding themselves, and launched an additional attack that had a 50% chance of becoming a super attack with a Joint Forces category ally rotation. Like honestly, not bad. I remember they could cook an SBR with the attack lowering on Super and like respectable damage, and they paired pretty well with Broly and Paragus, sharing 4 links with them, and obviously activating every part of their passive. As for the Int Kid Broly, who also awakened and EZA'd that same day, I remember him being even better than them, but I forgot why, until I looked at his kit. And yeah, it took me about like 0.2 seconds of looking at his kit to remember exactly why. First and foremost, he was a sub-leader for the Pure Sin category. That alone was already much better, especially for free-to-play players, as not only was his leader skill better than Prime Battle's Super Saiyan Vegeta's, but he was also much easier to grind than Vegeta. Then he stacked attacking defense on Super, while also having a 30% chance of stunning the attacked enemy on Super. So the guy was already extremely valuable for the hard events of the time. Another free-to-play unit that stacked defense on Super. Then he had 70% attacking defense and a 30% dodge chance at the start of turn. Disabled the enemy's guard and recovered 20% HP after delivering a final blow. You almost never saw that last part of his passive. That mechanic was just complete garbage unless the unit was like a ridiculous damage dealer, but in this case it was more of like a cherry on top kind of thing. Like his base kit was already pretty strong with like the defense stacking, dodge chance and like stuns. He could cook in like almost every hard event the game had to offer at the time. As for their EZA area event, it was one of the easier and more fun ones, as you had to use Dragon Ball Super Broly movie units. I remember really enjoying using all of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie free-to-play units in that like easy area. The Strength Zamasu also finally awakened into an LR Zamasu in Goku's body, with a unique name. Like bro, this guy has a unique name and Corrupted Merge Zamasu can't? Brother, this is literally Goku Black. And he has a different name, there's just no way. But yeah, the game was amazing aesthetically speaking. Like a free-to-play LR Goku Black was just so hype. And his card art was pretty cool, but man did they do this guy dirty. Bear in mind, LR EZAs weren't a thing back then, so we thought that this was going to be the end-all be-all for this guy, and his kit pre-EZA really wasn't all of that. He was a sub-leader for the Time Travelers category, a category that was now better than ever, thanks to the new features like units, so I guess this was good. He lowered defense on his 12 key, and raised his defense by 30% for one turn on his 18 key super, which I guess was okay for a free-to-play LR. Then he had 50% attacking defense on the start of turn, received 1 key per attack received, up to 5 key, and launched an additional attack that had a medium chance of becoming a super attack when facing 2 or more enemies, and that's where things got bad. Half of his buffs were hidden behind the final blow mechanic. He gained 20% attack and defense, up to an additional 50% attack and defense per enemy he killed. Sure, the buffs were calculated separately, so fully built up the guy had like 125% attack and defense, which was very good for a free-to-play LR at the time, but you had to kill 3 enemies to get there. This was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. 3 enemies. It was clear they tried to make this guy an SVR unit, but they just failed miserably. The only events where you could really fully build him up were long events, and even then you needed the perfect RNG to deliver the final blow with this guy 3 different times. And bro, you weren't keeping this guy in rotation. Like you had way better options, like the blue fusions for example. In SBR, by the time the guy got 1 final blow, the fight was already over. I genuinely do not understand what they were smoking when designing this guy's kit. He wasn't even like a top 5 free-to-play LR, which is not what you would expect from a free-to-play LR Goku Black from arguably the hypest anniversary in Dokkan history. Dokkan also held a Dragon Ball Hunt campaign that same day, where players had to work together to reach various milestones that rewarded Dragon Balls. Once all of the Dragon Balls were collected, they gave everyone a pretty cool Gogeta Blue and Full Power Broly wallpaper. I remember this wallpaper sparking a lot of speculations at the time, as it made us think we might get a new LR Full Power Broly as the part 2 LR, paired with maybe a new LR Merge Zamasu. A couple of days later, and Dokkan dropped a very interesting banner, as you had to buy stone packs to get tickets, and only then could you summon on that banner with like those paid tickets. It was a little something to celebrate the release of some new Dokkan Battle figurines, and the banner itself wasn't the worst either. It featured strengths per Gogeta and text percent for Gogeta, who could still put in work. On the new Blue Fusion's teams, EZAs for Vegito, who has a phenomenal TUR, especially with his recent EZA, in Goku Black, who was still very good in long events, EZAs percent Blue Evolution Vegeta, who still had value thanks to his leader skill, and Into Goku, who wasn't all that anymore, but still alright. And you were guaranteed one of those 6 units by summoning on the banner. Like, I don't know how expensive those tickets were, but maybe it was worth it. And yeah, they also dropped the Part 2 banners that same day, featuring a new LR Rose Goku Black and a new LR Broly, Shilai and Lemo. Not exactly what we wanted, but still very hype. And LR Rose was absolutely phenomenal. The guy was so good that people were generally debating whether he was the best unit in the game or not. He led the Future Saga category for 4 key and 130% HP attack and defense. A category that was in a very decent spot in the Extreme Int type for 4 key and 100% HP attack and defense, so you could run Inja Nimba's EZA on his team. He then greatly raised his defense for 1 turn on both of his super attacks, which was absolutely crazy to see on an LR. Then he had 66% attack and defense at the start of turn, which combined with his super attack effects and LR stats made him practically invincible post super, especially if he supered twice. What really made him cracked was the 6% attack he gained per key when attacking, since that buff was calculated separately. At 24 key, the guy had 265% attack on super. Brother, this was turn 1. All you had to do was hit 24 key with him, and he had 265% attack. I still remember being mind blown by his turn 1 damage. He was definitely better than the Blue Fusions for the first 3 turns, and was still better defensively until like their second or like third transformed appearance, at least in slot 2. Then he gained 2 key per final blow delivered, up to an additional 6 key. This honestly wasn't that bad since he did so much damage that getting a final blow was pretty easy. You really only needed like 1 final blow to fix his key issues. He also recovered 6% HP at the end of the turn after receiving an attack. I barely noticed that part of his passive in game, but I guess it was still cool to have. And if all of that wasn't enough, they also gave him a rage form, but the condition was absolutely horrendous. You had to be below 66% HP, starting from the 6th turn from the start of battle. No idea what they were thinking there, but he could already hold his own defensively post super. Like, he did take damage in like the last phases of the legendary Goku event, but with items or like dupes, he was fine. He paired perfectly with transformed in Goku Black, who was like a long event beast, so the rage form was really just like a little bonus to be considered good in long events. Like, he was effective against all types and gained additional key per key spheres obtained. Arguably the 2 best effects a giant form unit could have. Just key and like a way to do more damage. Like, Orze was just absolutely insane. His only real downside was his key links. He only had 2, but paired with a Goku Black, especially one that gave key, like physical Goku Black on Global, that problem was fixed. As for the Broly trio, they led the Movie Bosses category and the extreme physical type, which wasn't a bad leader skill, but not as good as Rose's. They then greatly raised their defense for 1 turn, while lowering the enemy's attack on their 12 key, which was an insane super attack effect, and greatly raised their attack and defense for 1 turn on their 18 key. They then gained 15% attack and defense per key spheres obtained, with an additional 2 key and 5% attack and defense for physical key spheres obtained, so they could look really good with physical orbs. They also gave all allies 39% attack when you picked an AGL or strength key sphere, or 39% defense when you picked a tech or int key sphere. Like, these buffs were calculated separately, so they went way further than expected in game. They also had guaranteed dodge with 7 or more key spheres obtained. This was just crazy. I remember reading their kit for the first time and being completely mind blown. Guaranteed dodge was just insane. On paper, these guys were, in my opinion, the best unit in the game. The problem was that none of their teams had orb changers at the time, and they weren't orb changers themselves, so most of the time you just struggled to pick up orbs. Like, with the right amount of key spheres, they were just absolutely cracked, but that almost never happened. Like, their whole performance depended entirely on orb RNG placement. Also, the fact that these guys had big bad bosses while the other Dragon Ball Super Brolys didn't was just hilarious. No idea what they were thinking. Like, yeah, maybe Chile was bad, but how did her and Limo give big bad bosses? It just makes no sense. As for their banner, it was your typical top legendary summon banner. It had Goatsu and all of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie banner units, so not the worst yellow coin banner. I think I dropped around 350 stones on that banner and did manage to pull 1 copy of Rose, so it wasn't bad, but you were better off summoning on the Blue Fusion banners, or just saving for the worldwide banners if you were on Global. The anniversary then had a third part, the first anniversary ever to have 3 parts, which was insanely hype at the time, and explained why part 2 felt kind of dry. Like part 3 brought some pretty cool stuff, like a new Sword of Hope Trunks campaign where each stage cleared counted as 1 key, and if all players accumulated 1.2 million key, everyone would get a new Vegito Blue and Merge Zamasu wallpaper, along with some other pretty decent rewards. They also added a mission that rewarded a special staker, but you had to clear 77 stages with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie free-to-play EZAs on your team. I don't even remember finishing that mission, as there was just no point on running 77 stages with those cards, especially before the Link level update. We also got a new Dragon Ball History stage that day. Nothing really difficult if you had the blue fusions, it was honestly more fun than hard, but the real highlight of part 3 was the first ever LR EZA. This wasn't something we thought was possible at the time, so you can imagine how insanely hyped this was. Everyone started speculating about which LR would EZA next, and how good summonable LR EZAs would be. The first LR that came to mind was LR Inspiration to Gohan. He was still good offensively, so I thought he would break the game once he EZA'd, which absolutely did not happen unfortunately, but at the time we didn't know they were going to fumble like half of the LR EZAs, so this was still very hype. The first LR EZA was none other than the new free-to-play LR Zamasu, which explained why he felt so bad pre-EZA, or so we thought before reading his kit. He was now almost a proper leader for a Time Travelers category, which was very good. He lowered attack on his 12 key super attack, which was great for SBR, and now raised both attack and defense on his 18 key, not just defense. He also now had 59% attack and defense at the start of turn instead of just 50, a small increase, but better than nothing. He could gain up to 6 key instead of 5, and could get up to 59% attack and defense from final blows instead of 50. Fully built up, he could reach 152% attack and defense, which was just insane. But he still suffered from the same issues as before. The final blow mechanic just sucked. But I guess he was at least somewhat usable in SBR now, thanks to his attack lowering and additional supers. He could actually cook there. But I remember his EZA still not sitting right with me. This was the best he would ever be. Super EZAs weren't even like in the realm of possibilities back then. So knowing this was the best he would be for a long time just felt so wrong. If he only needed 1 final blow instead of 3, he would have been so much better. 3 final blows was an insane restriction that I'll genuinely never understand. 2 days later, the Special Trunks campaign was fully cleared. Crazy to think it took players only 2 days to clear 1.2 million stages, but it makes sense. The player base was at an all-time peak with the blue fusions. But yeah, this was essentially the entirety of the 50th year anniversary. The celebration ended there. And the next thing we got was the teaser of the next Dokkan Fest on March 1st, which looked like a new Dokkan Fest Beerus. I don't know if I'll ever cover that guy's release, probably not. I was already planning on ending the series with the 300 million download celebration episode, but I know how much some of you guys enjoy the series, so I told myself I'd at least like finish the year, and might as well cover the Hypest celebration in Dokkan History. Since I know this was like a big milestone, a lot of people were waiting for me to cover, but yeah, I think this is actually it now. The series just takes way too much time for, unfortunately, very little return. Since the subject is pretty niche, and I just don't have the passion for it anymore. I want to work on other things. If you want to continue the series yourself, feel free to do so. I'll definitely give you a shout out if you let me know. I've seen someone else do their own version of the history series, and it's honestly pretty well made. I'll leave it in the comments down below if you're interested. But yeah, I guess this is really the end. Thanks to everyone who followed the series since the very first day. I'm very grateful to have been able to share this journey with all of you guys. Like, genuinely thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video, even though it won't be a history one. Take care, peace.